What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to YGOPD, your Yu-Gi-Oh! Professional Development. And today I have something really cool to share with you all that I've been kind of working on as a secret side project in the background, something fun I wanted to do to take a little bit of break. Sorry if you hear any little background noise. My wife and I are currently on vacation in the Outer Banks right now. So I'm trying to do my best with the equipment I have where we're set up at, but I don't want to take too much of your time. The deck profile is actually called Tenyi Paleozoic. I named it toilet paper. I think it's kind of fitting. Deck's extremely cheap. You can get it here for this price right here on the screen. Really cheap, easy to do, really fun, and actually pretty competitive. So I had the chance to take this to two different local events, going 2-1 both times. You'll see the matchups here listed on screen. A little bit of mid-range to a little bit of meta there, but overall definitely some hope in this deck and the ceiling it can grow to. This is probably an initial beta version, still got a little bit more testing to do. Again, only taken this to a couple events so far, but really like it. If you're looking for something fun to take a break and play before the ban list drops in about a month or so, and you got a couple bucks lying around, this is definitely the deck for you. And then first things first, before I hop into the deck profile, huge shout out to my new subs, Nick, Matt, Brad, Gabriel, Dakota, Parker, and Patrick. Thank you all so much. It means so much that you've decided to stick around and hang out. I'd like to keep pumping out really more awesome content for all of you. So without that said, let's go ahead and hop into the profile. Starting off with the main deck. We're going to do this in a traditional fashion, monster spell traps, just because the mechanics of how this deck function are just a little bit different than your standard decks nowadays. Starting off, 3 Swap Frog. We do play the Frog engine in the deck, very straightforward. Dumps your Frogs, dumps your Ronin Tonans, helps you make your rank 2 plays. And then the first untraditional pick for the deck is Triple Flip-Flop Frog. If you're unfamiliar with what this does, when it's flipped face up, you can bounce monsters your opponent controls back to the hand, basically less than or equal to the amount of frogs that you have on the field, including this. So it's non-targeting, non-destructive removal built into the deck that is searchable through your Water Charmer link and able to be dumped through Swap Frog. Overall, just a better pick than dupe, in my opinion, since the search is just based on timing and missing the timing. And for here, you just get value for it all the time. So continuing on, 2 Ronin Tonin, standard here, just again helping you make rank 2 plays. But that's it for the frogs. Onto the Tenyis, fairly small package, but does do a great deal. So 3 Ashina, this is your E-tally from the deck into any name, locks you into worms after you've used it for the turn. The special summon of all the Tenyis from the hand to field do not lock you into anything, so you just have to have a face-up non-effect monster essentially to use the effect. So the cool thing is all the Paleos while they're on board make these effects live, so you can do your typical stuff, or you can just use these to bait out negates. 2 Vishuda, this is our non-destructive bounce. If you side cards like Lava Golem, you can give it to him, special Vishuda, link into the Monk, and bounce the Lava Golem back to your hand. Just a lot of synergy there as well. And then the 2 of the Water Tenyi. This is rounding it out here at 7 Tenyis to Shithana. Basically what this says is if a normal monster dies, you can banish it from your hand or grave, special the normal monster back, and then non-targeting, pop a monster your opponent controls. So really good for Monk, really good for Rise to full height plays. You banish the Rise, target your normal monster, and they're forced to focus on that, making this live and a free pop. So, and then 3 Backjack. Again, standard in a trap deck, basically lets you look at the top 3 of your deck, put them back in any order on your opponent's turn, quick effect, banish. If it's a normal trap, you can set it and use it. So just more ways to get your engine going. Moving on to the rest part of the deck, which is literally all traps. And we'll start with the Paleos. 3 Canadia, this is our Book of Moon. 3 Olenoides, this is our MST. 3 Lanchoila, this is our return a card from the banished back to the grave, including face down cards, should that come up. 3 Morella, this is probably the most important Paleo in your deck. This is our Foolish Burial for any trap and dumps Rise to full height, the key piece that allows this deck to do what it does well. And then last, 2 Dinomischus, our piece of banish removal. So that's it for the Paleos. On to the remainder of the traps. We just got a few slots left. Triple Rise to full height. This is what makes this deck good on top of the Tenyis and on top of everything else. This is what makes the deck be able to compete. So this has 2 effects. First one is activation, so flipping it up on the field. You target a monster on the field, double its defense for the turn, and then at the end of the turn, the defense becomes 0 permanently. That effect doesn't matter. The effect that matters is you can banish it from the grave, target a monster you control, your opponent's monsters can only attack that card. So if that card leaves the field, like you tributed off for Toad's effect, it gets destroyed by battle, whatever, they can't attack anything else you control, they can't attack you directly. So it pretty much just keeps everything protected. So you're kind of banishing this, targeting your monk to keep that protected, or one of your frogs, depending on what you want to save. And then on your turn, you have a bunch of Paleos sitting there because they're unaffected by monster effects for the Paleo traps. You make a bunch of rank 2s, you make Zeus, you clean up really nice. So this is really what makes the deck function. Triple Needlebug Nest. This card is amazing in this deck. I love this card so much to be able to dump things like Backjack, your Paleos, Rise to the Full Height, and now Tenyis. It just gives you so much value for basically a free card. It's just insane. And then wrapping up the deck at 40. 2 Trap Trick, just a couple copies of pretty much any trap you play. You don't want to play too many of this because you don't want to open multiples. You just kind of want to see this as an extra name of anything else you are playing. So that's it for the main deck. A clean 40. We'll hop into the extra deck. Triple Monk of the Tenyi. You don't have to play 3, but I like 3 because there's a good chance you can open 2 Tenyis and just, you know, you're going to go through 2 Monk right away and at least guaranteeing you have another Monk for that mid-late game, just in case you don't have a Paleo on the field to make the normal monster, to make your Tenyis live, is important. And this deck doesn't need much extra deck space if you're not playing Extravagance, Prosperity, you know, things like that. This is meant to be a budget version, just to kind of give something lighter and a bit of variation on the channel. So 3 Monk, solid card. A little bit more generic links here. Unicorn and Phoenix. Of course, this can be different things, but just the utility of that package is very nice. And then wrapping up the links section of the extra deck, we play 1 of the Water Charmer Link and 1 Almirage. So you can play Link Karibo. That is most certainly something you can do. I prefer Almirage to my normal summon for Backjack, just because with things like Sword Soul Blackout in the meta and stuff like that, Destruction Protection is pretty important, and it still lets Rise do exactly what it needs to do. And you can just trigger, you know, keeping that monster off the field for the benefit of when you target it with Rise a lot quicker. You don't have to wait for battle phase for Link Karibo or something like that. You can just get it done early on, and it's just chainable, which is nice. So now for the remainder of the extra deck, moving on to the Exceed monsters. Triple Toad, not much to say there. Your Omni Negate, really solid card there. 1 Opabinia, 1 Anomalocaris, and that is pretty much the other standard rank 2s that you play. These are both unaffected by monster effects. This guy lets you detach to search a Paleo trap and lets your Paleo traps activate from the hand. This guy is essentially a Drident while it has a trap as material, also unaffected by monster effects. And then its last effect is if a trap leaves your spell trap zone, you can excavate the top card of your deck. If it's a trap card, you get to add it to your hand. So, and then wrapping up the extra deck, 1 Downard and 2 Zeus. Definitely amazing tools that we now have access to that all have dropped into price thanks to the most recent Megatins reprints and the Brothers of Legends reprints for Downard Magician. So that is it for the main deck. Thank you all so much for watching. Like I said before, we hit 5 likes. I'll do some really cool test hands, some combos, different things like that with this deck to show people how Rise actually works and functions in the meta, and how you can use it to your advantage. But with that said, I will see you all in the next one. Later.